In today's video, it's going to be a bit weird, and it may be a total disaster if I'm going to be really honest, because I've been thinking about something recently, and maybe I haven't thought about it deep enough, but it's a topic which you may find interesting. If I confused you, well, if you're already more confused, or maybe even have more clarity, make sure you watch this video. So the other day I was contemplating the version of me when I was kind of a druggie, and this was a long time ago, but when I was kind of a druggie, when I was in that teenage period of my life where I was smoking a lot of drugs, kind of doing a little bit of harder drugs and so on, and the difference to where I am right now. And when I think back to where I was as a young man and where I am right now, there's kind of two things that are completely different. It's what do I prioritize in my life? And when I was a druggie, the first thing I worried about in my day was when I'm going to get my drugs. And it's a really interesting thing to think about, because when you're a druggie and that's your number one priority in the day, there's interesting times in the year. Like, for example, a really interesting time in the year for a druggie is when you can't get marijuana, because it's just not the time of the season where it's been grown that much. And I remember there were nights where me and my mates were literally driving around town, trying to find, in the druggie world, it's called cabbage, which is basically just the leaves of the marijuana plant, which, you basically smoke so much of it to even get the smallest hit. And I remember, we drive around for like 3 or 4 hours a night trying to find some crap cabbage, because that's what we needed to get through the day. And then when I think about the version of myself right now, if we just think of the fitness version of myself, kind of fitness is my drug. Like, when I wake up in the day and I prioritize my day, I'm going to prioritize putting exercise in my day. And I've got other priorities I put in my life, which are healthy and fit priorities, and not just the health and fitness, but other priorities that are healthy for me as a whole being as I think about my day. And as I reflected upon this the other day, I was kind of thinking about this kind of the version of myself where my number one priority was just getting drugs, and then the version of myself where I am right now. The interesting thing about the drug experience was, ultimately, the satisfaction of the experience got lesser and lesser as time went by. And what do I mean by this? Well, I'll use LSD as an example. I really enjoyed the harder drugs at that stage of my life. And I remember the first time I did LSD, and it was kind of like this transformational experience. It was like this massively crazy experience for me. And it was such a crazy experience, I kind of wanted to do more of it. And it was a period of my time where I did quite a lot of LSD in my life. And I remember there was this moment one night where I did LSD, and this is after I'd done it for a long period of time. And I'd taken this LSD, and I'm at my mate's house, and we were watching this TV show. No, we were watching like MTV, like a music show. And this song came on, that song Lager, Lager, like a good dance song, and it's kind of like a druggie's anthem. And I'm watching this song, and my mate said to me, and he knew I was on LSD, and he said, "Bevan, you must be in another world watching this song right now." And I remember just thinking, actually I'm not. Like, actually, the experience is, I'm just kind of in a slightly different state. And for me, that was often the experience of my druggie experience, is that at the first part of it, I got these kind of mind-blowing highs, but the more I stayed in this action or this part of my life, the less value I got from it. And to the point where with marijuana, by the end of the time, it wasn't even really a high, it was more of just a slight state change, but I always had to kind of chase that state. And then when I reflect upon my exercise experience, that exercise has never really done that to me. Exercise has never really diminished its value as time's gone by. Now, sure, when I think about the challenges I've faced, like the high of achieving an Ironman goal, is not something I experience every day in the exercise experience. But my day-to-day exercise experience still delivers in many ways that add value to my life. And when I reflected upon this the other day, I was thinking, that's what's really interesting, is that when I prioritize the drug as my number one thing in my life, ultimately I was getting less value as time went by and becoming a less version of myself as time went by. So the reward was less rewarding, and actually kind of not even rewarding at all. And the dissatisfaction of my overall life was decreasing as time went by. Whereas I contrast that to my exercise life, the rewards have these peak moments, but even when I'm outside of my peak moments, the day-to-day reward continues to deliver with exercise in my life. And so you can kind of see that when it comes to the choices of the things you have in your life, Choosing things that consistently deliver rewards that are great for you is a really valuable thing to do in your life. And I've never really thought about it that way, but as I've sitting and thinking about this the other day, I was just thinking, yeah, it's really interesting. So I suppose to throw this at you, and we all have areas like this. What are the areas of your life that the more you do them, they're actually less rewarding for you and maybe even to be diminishing for you in your life? And if you're like me and you have those areas, maybe how do you transition to new areas of your life? Luckily for me, at around the age of 20, I just realized drugs weren't for me and I kind of went cold turkey. And luckily for me, I actually went to fitness, which was that area that consistently delivered rewarding experiences. And if you can identify those areas in your life, which maybe over time you are getting diminishing rewards and maybe even diminishing yourself, how do you move away from those areas and transplant yourself into areas like fitness that have the ability to consistently deliver rewards over a long period of time in your life? And if you can create that life, well, obviously it's going to be a better place in your life. And if I think again, back to me, the kid who prioritized drug versus the kid who prioritizes health and fitness, man, I always want to live this life and I never want to live that life again. So maybe something you think about. I kind of said in the intro, this could be crazy, it could be weird. I don't know if I got there or not. Maybe it was. I hope you got something from today's talk. I'll be back next week. The next Keep Active. If you enjoy my videos and you're not exercising, or you know somebody in your life who really struggles with exercise, I've got to recommend my new book, I Will Make You Passionate About Exercise. The purpose of this book is to take those who struggle with exercise from where they are to cementing the foundation that creates a lifetime love of exercise. It has all the steps, it has a plan, it has a journey that you go through that safely and wisely guides you to bringing exercise in your life in the most successful way possible. To get the book, go to www.passionaboutexercise.com. It will be the best thing you can do for your health and fitness. Get the book right now and you'll be seeing massive change in your health and fitness in a very short period of time.